And we've spent a fair amount of our time, budget time here, talking to you because I think it's so valuable. You have such a great perspective, and it's really been helpful. So I'm going to ask you for one final sage piece of advice, and that is, you've been here 8 years. You've seen the big stuff. What is it that is most important in your mind that we try to continue for the next 8 years?
Well, I'll share that it is important to help important things happen faster and better than they can. You know, I'm really proud of our progress, but we have real challenges, economic challenges of building more housing, environmental challenges of building more clean energy and restoring. And I'll observe, 7 years into this job, that a well-intended, system that we built up over time is not optimized to move quickly and effectively. So I'll tell you what I'm passionate about moving forward is maintaining, this level of environmental quality and safeguards that we have in California, no doubt, and ensuring public participation and tribal consultation, and figuring out ways to get this work done more quickly and effectively.
I think one of our most important points that is, the blanket under all of the comments is the state budget condition. The good news is the stock market has been booming and is continuing to boom. In fact, about a week and a half ago, our office updated our revenue estimates to reflect that. The question is just how long will that last? And as I know you heard in full committee hearing from Gabe Pettick, the legislative analyst, my boss, there are a lot of concerning signs based on what we've seen historically of an overheated market. And so the question is, how long will that last, and at what degree? Also, even just this weekend, changing international context that could affect our economy. Even with the booming stock market, the budget is only precariously balanced. The budget proposal before you from the governor relies on new borrowing, $6 billion in new borrowing, which brings the total wall of debt, as we call it, to $34 billion, as well as using $10 billion in reserves. So usually when a stock market is booming as it is, that's a time you're putting money into reserves, not taking money out. So there are a lot of concerns we have about this. Looking ahead to the coming years, both our office and the administration forecast multi-billion-dollar deficits, $20 to $30 billion a year. That is the structural gap between our forecasted revenues and forecasted expenditures, even not forecasting a downturn in the stock market. But even in this budget context, even proposals with really strong justification come with trade-offs. Every new dollar you're spending in a deficit situation means you're having to make reductions or raise new revenues elsewhere. As always, we looked at each individual proposal and looked at its merits, but as I mentioned, we found that a lot of them did have some justification. So given the budget condition, we thought what would be helpful for you is to provide this kind of a framework to think about how do we approach the various proposals given the larger context and help guide your decisions. So some examples that will come before you in the coming weeks and even in your agenda today are things like new contracts for pilots for CAL FIRE's fixed aircraft. You want to be able, we as a state want to be able to use the tools that we have, like our aircraft, when there are fires, and not have them grounded because we didn't provide funding to be able to utilize them. That to us is the kind of example of something where it's pressing, it's immediate. If it's not funded this year, then there's a problem. There's a proposal for Fish and Wildlife to address nutria, the invasive species. If we took a couple of years off of that, for example, the population could explode and start chewing through levees. These are the types of immediate pressing proposals that even in a budget problem we think merit very strong consideration. So we also offer some suggestions of ways you might want to modify proposals to reduce pressure on the general fund, even if the proposals have a strong rationale. Thinking about alternative funding sources. Are there fees you might be able to raise? Always come with trade-offs for the fee payers, but thinking about other alternative sources you could generate to support some of these activities. thinking about funding priority proposals at a lower level. Sometimes doing a little bit of something is better than not doing it at all, even if you can't afford to do it at the level that is proposed. So again, there's some of these on your agenda today that you'll be discussing, but maybe you bring on new Conservation Corps members, but fewer than you would have, or repairs at Expo Park. Maybe you do some of them, but not all of them. These are the types of trade-offs, unfortunately, that you are facing.